Okay, geometry. This is the last section of the chapter, chapter 6, section 6, inequalities in two triangles. So we looked at our indirect proof in the last section, and we could tell that the longest side was opposite the greatest angle, and vice versa for the smallest angle and middle angle. So now we're going to compare two different triangles. And so I'm just going to pick a couple of simple ones that I can draw. Let's say something like that. Let's turn this one around just to make it look a little bit different. And so if I said this angle, or excuse me, this side was congruent to this side, and the hypotenuse was congruent to the hypotenuse over here, and then I said this angle is, let's go with 62 degrees, and this angle over here where they come together is 58 degrees. Okay, there's what's called the hinge theorem. And think hinge like a door. It's between the door and the door jamb. And so we have the hinge theorem. And the hinge theorem requires both of those sides to be congruent and the angle in between them. So it's kind of like a side angle side, but those angles aren't congruent. However, if I were to label this, and I should have labeled this ahead of time, this is ABC, and this is DEF, then there is a relationship of side AC to side DE. And because of the hinge theorem, because AC is opposite the bigger angle, then that means it's the bigger side. So this is an inequality, and we have AC is greater than DE. And that's the hinge theorem. Now, there's the converse of the hinge theorem, and the converse has to do with, instead of two sides in an angle, it would have actually a third side. So let me draw the converse hinge theorem. The converse hinge says, let me draw a couple, get a couple triangles. Board freaking out on me a little. Let's get that one and that one. Again, I can rotate it just a little bit to make it look a little bit different. I'll label them this time, ABC, and then D, E, and F. Again, I'm not going to put the angles on there, but if I had, let's say, AB is congruent to DE, and AC is congruent to FE, and CB is 12, and FD is 8, then now we can look at the actual angle. And so again, I have to have two corresponding equal sides, but then if I look at the angles here, angle A is opposite a bigger side, and angle E is opposite a smaller side. So those two angles are going to have a relationship. And in this case, because angle A is opposite the larger side, angle A is the larger angle. So that's the hinge and the converse of the hinge. And that is basically the section. So considerably under 6 minutes. That is Chapter 6, Section 6. We are looking at inequalities in two triangles.